Ladies and gentlemen, pray be silent for the bride's father.
Mr. and Mrs. David Ross, ladies and gentlemen, I think one of the most difficult things about making a speech is how to begin. Perhaps it is better to remain silent when you talk of food than to open your mouth and to remove any doubt. Silence is not permitted today, and in any case, the most difficult part is now over. I've been introduced as father of the bride, which is a title as descriptive and evocative as any, and it is a title I'm very proud of today. One of my sons brought me the video, the film, that title. Great, I thought. I'll get some expert advice and tuition on speech. Hollywood had great script writers and a supreme presentation. I might even get a tip on how best to begin. Well, any of you who have seen the film will remember that the eponymous Steve Martin was called out to help with the car parking and never attended the reception. So, no help from there. This is a great day for my wife and I. And it's many a long year since I first stood up at a wedding and very self-consciously said that for the first time. But I think I know her well enough now to call her Cynthia. It's a great day for Cynthia and me, and we would like to thank all who have made it so. The manager and staff of this hotel, and Phil, who today looked after us, have been so considerate and helpful in their preparation. You know, they make you feel that you are the wedding of the year. And I think their end result today has been truly grand. Thanks also to all who helped. People who helped with the ushering, flower arranging, which I think were absolutely fabulous. The car transport. It's for Sarah, who saved our lives this morning. And above all, to the Matra team, who oversaw everything these past few months and helped to bring it all together. And a special thank you to Cynthia. But how could we have celebrated without you, our guests? We could have seen them married, but to really celebrate the event, we needed you, and we're delighted to see each and every one of you here today. We welcome especially David's mum and dad, Yvonne and Ernie. We feel we've known them for a very long time. Sally's lucky to have such lovely and loving in-laws. To them and to all the Ross family, right down to Leanna, thank you for coming. Thank you to the attendants, to Sophie, and to Matthew. I hope they're having a good time. And to their parents for letting us have them, for bringing them and seeing to it that they were not as nervous as the grown-ups. I would like to mention a few guests who, as the media say, have flown in from around the world to be with us today. Richard, Sally's eldest brother, who's come from Sydney. Ken, one of the ushers, who's come from New York. And from Ireland, Eva and John, Sheila, Sally and Marcel. Margaret, Claire, was Katie and Fulcher. To you all, the north and south of the border, the east and west of the Pennines, to the Wimbledonians and the Wolfrunians, thank you for coming. And may God bless you all for the time you have given us today. So, what about the main stars? I don't know how David came into Sally's life, whether quietly or with a bang. But he came into ours very quietly and with great ease. And I think think we loved him from the word go. Mind you, he had a couple of things going for him. He does play golf. And that, of course, makes him honest, patient, philosophical, and a true gentleman. And secondly, as some of you will well know, he does like a pint of Guinness. And that's something Cynthia has always admired. Welcome to our family, David. And then there's Sally. Sally Ann, Therese Ross E. Murray. To give her her full time. She's always been a great joy to us. Never a great achiever at school, she's always been keen to look after children. And has a natural gift for it. I didn't think it'd be nice about it. She came to work at the surgery when she was 14, child labour. At age 15, she went with a family to Malta to look after their children during the school holidays. And next year went on the professional golfers tour to look after children of one of the professional golfers. She had a card for them today. She then decided that she needed to know the academic side of child caring and went to college for 2 years. The day after she finished her final examinations, she started her first full-time job in London. And I don't think she's ever looked back since. She's now, I think, and I'm quite unbiased, a top-class nanny. 2 things I'll tell you about her, David. She has a fiery temper. And I don't know where she got it from. But it is more than balanced by her great capacity to give and to love. Cynthia and I, and indeed all of our family, have basked in this generosity and love for a long time. And I don't think it will be diminished by our sharing it with David. I will finish with a reading which Cynthia picked out and I think would be her advice to them today. It's by a poet and philosopher speaking of marriage. He said, "You were born together, and together you shall be forevermore. You shall be together when the white wings of death scatter your days. Aye, you shall be together even in the silent memory of God. But let there be spaces in your togetherness, and let the winds of heaven dance between you. Love one another. Let it rather be a moving sea between the shores of your souls. Sing and dance together, and be joyous. But let each one of you be alone, even as the strings of a lute are alone, though they quiver with the same music. Give your hearts, but not into each other's keeping, for only the hand of God can contain your hearts. And stand together, yet not too near together, for the pillars of the temple stand apart, and the oak tree and the cypress grow not in each other's shadow." We give Sally and David our best wishes, our prayers, and our love. And I would now ask you all to be upstanding and to join us in our toast to the bride and groom, Sally and David.
Sally and David.
Thank you very much. Now the groom, David Ross, would like to say a few words.
But what little bit of a speech that I had prepared has actually just been taken by Mike anyway. Since the bulk of my speech is going around thanking everybody, so there's no harm in thanking people again though. On behalf of my wife and I, I'll get used to it eventually, then I'll call you Sally. I'd just like to say a few words really to thank everybody who has been so kind to us today and in the run up to the wedding. Just really to reiterate how me and Sally, how grateful we are to you all. Firstly, of course, the first people I have to thank is our parents. Mike, Cynthia, Yvonne and Ernie. From the moment we announced our engagement, they've been sort of supportive, given lots of advice, helps along our way. Have they calmed our nerves, Sally? Just about calmed our nerves and caused some other nerves to go along the way. We've actually, as a token of our appreciation for that, I'd like to just give that to you, Cynthia. Say thank you very much. Don't read anything into the difference in his size. I still control the purse strings. I'd also like to echo what Mike said earlier about how there are people who travel from just about every part of the world almost, I think, to come here. In particular, Richard, who, well, has at least come from Australia. For the last few weeks he's been over and I believe staying another couple of weeks. So thank you very much for making that sacrifice to come this far. And also to Ken at the back, who, as Mike says, come from New York. What he didn't actually say was that he flew in yesterday and leaves tomorrow. So for that we're especially touched. If you'd like to stand up, you're fairly short. People just he was one of the ushers bossing you around. I'd also like to particularly thank Ken because it was actually through Ken that I actually met Sally. So, if I didn't know Ken, I wouldn't have met Sally now and I wouldn't be here. Which at the moment, the way this speech is going, I probably wish I wasn't. One person I do really have to thank, of course, who I know I wouldn't be able to sit down if I didn't thank that person, and that is, of course, Sally. I know when I first asked her to marry me, I was very glad when she said yes, and I know this morning when I saw her in the church, as I turned round, I was very proud and very touched to say that I'm about to fill up with her. To say, she's there and the fact that she's actually married me, and I'm really thankful for that, so thank you very much, Sally. As a general thank you, I'd like to thank everyone in the room and also people who aren't here who have actually bought loads of presents for us. And the generosity of all those people has really overwhelmed us. We need a bigger house already, I think, to actually put all the presents in, but we really are touched for that. Thank you very much. I'd also like to thank Mike did the Sloane Manor, who have been brilliant in their organisation. I know the food, certainly my food was nice enough, so I don't care about anyone else really. But certainly I enjoyed my food, and hopefully we'll enjoy the rest of the evening. And it's run as professionally as it has been so far, I'm sure we will enjoy that. So thank you very much. I suppose I've got to thank Matt eventually, my best man. Really dragging the bottom of the barrel now, aren't
Careful.
you? Yeah, okay, I'll stop. No, seriously. I had a stag night a few weeks ago in Nottingham, and I'm still here to tell the tale. I might not remember all of it, but I think it was through Matt that he managed to keep me out of jail, keep me alive, and basically got me back on the Sunday. I'd like to thank him also, I would have liked to thank him for calming my nerves this morning, but I think in reality he was actually more nervous than me and actually made me more nervous. So, but other than that, thank you very much, Matt. And as a token of our appreciation, we'd like to give you a present. Finally, it is only a short speech I'm giving really. I'd like to thank Sally's attendants. They've been really good today, well behaved. I know Sally had lots of concerns, thinking, what if they do this, what if they do that, and all this sort of thing, but they really have been well behaved. So Matthew and Sophie, she's hiding around the back. I've got to come all the way over there. So thank you very much, Matthew. Thank you very much, Matthew. Oh, I thought you were Sophie then, you're not getting this. There, Sophie, thank you very much. Do I get a kiss? So I've said all the thank yous I'm going to say. I don't intend to actually embarrass anybody apart from myself. So with that, I'd actually like, on behalf of Sally, thank the bridesmaids and ask them to join in the toast for the bridesmaids and Paige Wilson.
Bridesmaids and Paige.
I'm sorry, Matthew and Sophie.
I think it's slightly different to yours in that I do intend to embarrass somebody. And that person is you. It's traditional at this point to, as I said, embarrass and ridicule the group by selecting a few witty and tasteful anecdotes from David's past. I had no problem finding entertaining stories about David. Unfortunately, none of them could be classified as tasteful. So instead, I've decided to analyse David. I've decided to look at his personality. I've decided to find out what actually makes this guy tick. So, who is David? Well, many of the people here today have only known David for a few months, maybe a few weeks, or even a couple of days. You'll know David as the kind of guy who wears pink t-shirts. The kind of guy who joins tennis clubs and drinks white wine at home. Roscoe is the kind of guy whose car is tuned, David is the kind of guy whose car is tuned to classic FM. and he takes holidays from work to decorate the spare bedroom and build a rockery. Well, it'll no doubt be a shock for you to find out that 18 months ago, David had absolutely none of these characteristics. In fact, David was a completely different person. And he had a different name. He was called Roscoe. So who was Roscoe? Well, firstly, Roscoe would never have worn a pink t-shirt. Roscoe would never have worn a red t-shirt. No, the only kind of clothes that Roscoe wore were grey and purchased from Burton's. Grey trousers, grey shirts, grey jumpers, even the first car he bought was grey. If ever there was a man with bags more buzz, it was Roscoe. And white wine, Roscoe would never have drunk white wine. Sorry, Roscoe would never have drunk white wine that wasn't free. No, Roscoe was a beer man, and he dedicated his life to its consumption. In fact, his favourite tipple used to be a little-known drink called Scandia Green, because of its cool, fresh taste, and because it cost 33p for the local Indian shop. In fact, he even built a pyramid 6 foot high and 4 foot wide, solely from cans of Scandia Green. Far more useful than any rockery. And then there were tennis clubs. No, tennis clubs. They're full of people playing tennis. No, Roscoe was into non-participation sports, requiring skill, judgment, and just a little bit of stupidity, such as betting on the horses and fruit machines. In fact, this is the only use so far that Roscoe found for his maths degree. And as you can imagine, a person with these sort of attributes and this sort of style, women used to find him very, I suppose the word's interesting. In fact, Roscoe developed his own technique for attracting women. Firstly, mental preparation. He used to dress solely in his favourite grey Burton's underpants, which he used to call his pulling pants. And he used to dance round his bedroom to some obscure Elvis Costello record. I don't remember what he was. And then he would put on his best grey Burton's outfit and go down the pub and drink approximately 7 pints of Guinness. Finally, at chucking out time, he'd hit his favourite nightclub and spend the evening dancing solely with men.
It wasn't that sort of night.
As you've probably noticed, Roscoe's pulling technique had one difference to most pulling techniques. It had involved absolutely no contact with the female species whatsoever. In fact, the only thing that Roscoe used to take home was a cold kebab. So when did it all happen? When did Roscoe become David, the man you all know? Well, it all happened a few years ago when David was asleep on a friend's floor, dressed in his favourite grey gear, cuddling a cold kebab, when he was woken by this vision of beauty, presenting him with a cup of tea. And it was Sally. And instantly, Roscoe was in love. Unfortunately, Sally wasn't quite thinking along the same line. Little do we know, deep in the back of Sally's mind, all those years ago, she was already thinking, I bet he'd look great in pink. The rest is history. Sally took Roscoe and made a David. Sally took a man whose catchphrase was, I have no married friends, and married him. Okay, I've got to move on to see a bit now. But seriously, whether he's a David or whether he's a Roscoe, we all love him. David is one of the kindest, most generous and popular people I know. And I am proud to call myself his friend. And I know, I'm sure, that David, or is it Roscoe, will make Sally very happy. So, I'd like to make a toast. And the toast is to Sally and David stroke Roscoe. Sally and David stroke Roscoe. I don't sit down yet. No, I don't sit down. You can sit down. Because at this point, I have to read out all of the cards. Now that we're about. There are approximately 37 cards. But I'm only going to read, hopefully, the ones from people who aren't here. So if you're here and I read your card, please shout out. Okay, this card is from the Sparrow family, and they say, may all your dreams come true. Congratulations. Love to you both. And there's a card here from Arthur. Congratulations, and may you have the adventures of a lifetime. With love on this special day, from Arthur, looking after the house while you are away.
It's a tree! It's a tree! Which tree? The apple tree!
Supposedly Arthur's an apple tree, I didn't know. Lovely one here covered in hedgehogs. On your wedding day, to Sally and David, congratulations and best wishes for you and your future together. With much love from Mary, Andy, Oliver, Rebecca, and Lucy. On your wedding day, to Sally and David, best wishes for a long and happy life together. We would have loved to have shoved this shared this but our fondest thoughts and prayers are with you. God bless you both. Love from Diana and Michael. They all live in Canada. And finally, Sally and David, with best wishes on your wedding day and for your future happiness together. With all our love, we will be thinking of you in Turkey. Somebody and Les. Heather and Les. So I suppose I'll sit down now.